it's a great privilege to welcome this panel here. Women leaders from 3 different fields on Women's Day. So it kind of all fell together, and the stars have aligned to have Namita here with us, Avarna here with us, and of course Anu. And what I want to do is to focus on the topic, because we've had many other interesting sessions, but how have these star performers in their respective fields broken barriers, and how has their journey been so far? And Namita, of course, many of you would know her better for being a shark. She doesn't look like one. But Namita, why don't you start? How did you manage to break the barrier of becoming a shark in a world of investment and money and pitches? How did that really work for you?
No, it's been 4 years now, and we spend about 20 days a year shooting, but it's just become larger than life for some reason in terms of the impact. And I think breaking barriers for me has been that television is a great platform to do 2 things. One is to educate, because through storytelling, you can educate, right? Log gyan bhul jate hain, buzzwords bhul jate hain, but they remember stories. So when the founders come from different parts of the country, small villages, and tell their stories, it's a great way for the country to really learn, what I learned in my MBA school and paid a lot of money for. People actually learn EBITDA and cost of acquisition and equity in very simple terms through storytelling, and it's given respect to entrepreneurship. So I think that's been fabulous. Secondly, I've used my voice to talk about a lot of healthcare issues, because being from MK or Pharma, consider myself as somebody who should talk more about healthcare. And healthcare, unfortunately, tends to still have a lot of sensitive, taboo, unspoken topics when it comes to women's health. So I've spoken about my tryst with infertility, a couple of IVFs that I've had, menopause. I mean, I've said it all. And I think it's a great way to break the silence, to speak about uncomfortable topics, to bust some taboos, and to educate. So for me, that's been the funnest part of the show.
Well, this is absolutely the right platform to talk more about that. Avarna, I come to you. You run a billion-dollar company, India's oldest music label. How does that sit on your shoulders? Is that like a big, onerous responsibility, or just par for the course every day?
Honestly, so music for me has been part of my DNA. So Saregama has been part of the group since before I was born. So we grew up hearing the name, hearing the music. So it is a part of me and part of my DNA, a natural extension. But yes, the onus is huge. The responsibility becomes even bigger, because you have this huge legacy. You have this huge heritage of India that sort of you are safeguarding. And it's our responsibility to find a way to bring it to the Indian public. Maybe the Indian public in the 70s, 80s was familiar with a lot of this music, but the newer generations maybe are not. So this huge onus lies on us with this advent of digital media to actually bring this to the fore. And I think that's where we really want to work on. Yes, new music acquisition, all of that will keep happening. But this gold mine that we're sitting on, this repertoire of music from the first song ever recorded, which was Gauhar Jaan in 1902, I think, from then till now, I think it's something that, as a country, we need to cherish and really let the newer generations know what we possess.
And they have taken music from that era to the digital era, and clearly that would be a challenge. I'll come to that topic later, but television to my left, and then we have television again. The oldest television rankings platform, event platform in some ways, and you've been running it for 25 years. I want to come straight to the issue that many people talk about. Is television going to remain relevant in an age of OTT, in an age of digital consumption of all manner of content?
Siddharth, honestly, television has been and will remain. OTT, you've got to realize, are all paid platforms. Well, majority of them. Most of the people in our country don't have access to that kind of money. Okay, let's put it. Because they cost between $649 a month to $2,000 a year, etc., etc. Television beams free into your homes. It'll never the place of TV will never be taken away. Digital again is very limited. The kind of stuff on digital platforms today has nothing to do with, it's like anything today you can see on digital, which again is not something which is very, I think, acceptable to a lot of people, considering you're seeing what's happening right now. So television is going to remain in TV, and you're right, we started ITA 25 years ago. We're celebrating our 25th year this year. We're the only TV awards. We added OTT. OTT is your digital platform like Netflix, Amazon, etc. in 2019 when they started. And I'm happy and proud to say that we are the highest rated awards in our country, especially since the last 5 years. We've beaten all, be it films, be it anybody else. So with this real pride, I'm very happy I started ITA when we did, and we are in our 25th year now.
Absolutely, and you helped bring television to the masses in some ways. Namita, I come to you about, breaking barriers. You alluded to it a bit, and your personal sort of challenges that you had. But today, doing business in India, if you were to compare it 25, 30 years back, male-dominated, heavily regulated, government regulations, dealing with Sarkar, Mai Baap Ki Sarkar, and now in the digital age, startup culture, things have changed, things have improved, things have become much, much easier. For a newcomer who wants to get into business, a woman who wants to set up a startup company, is it a more challenging time or a more easier time to do business?
So I'm an optimist, and I'm 48. I've been working for 25 years, so I've seen the change. And there has been remarkable change, and things have become better. So let's not paint a doomsday picture here.
Okay.
But the one thing that hasn't changed and never should change is whether you're a man or a woman, you're judged by your numbers. So we went public about 6-7 months back, right? And of course, even before we went public, we had Blackstone, we had Bain Capital, we had a bunch of marquee private investors, and I worked in the US for 8 years as well. It's always the numbers.
And they only deal with numbers.
As it should be. So I think you will always have challenges, you will always have barriers, but then you can just shut everyone up with your numbers. And if you don't have the numbers, then you have to shut up. It's one of those two things.
Is that, you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. I think your work speaks for you, and no matter what anyone says, once your work is doing what it's supposed to do, as Namita rightly said, people shut up. So numbers prove everything. You might have a concept, you might have an idea, you might go out there, but the truth is, you only know if it's successful if the numbers prove it.
And your personal leadership style, is it numbers driven or a mix of?
It's actually, I think the nature of the business I'm in, it's a mix of creative and numbers. The numbers have to come, because if the numbers don't, then I don't have the creative freedom to do what I want to do or what I should be doing. So it's a chicken and egg story, really.
Aren't women instinctively better at sort of balancing budgets? If you're a homemaker, you do that all the time. If you're running a business, you do.
Women are better, period, in about everything we can think of. That goes with, everybody agrees with that. That goes without saying. But you know what? I was just talking to someone outside, and I was pretty taken aback. They just said that the women workforce in the last, the labor, some survey happened, is diminishing, especially in the urban states, which is very, very, I would have thought it had gone up, but in the rural is where the numbers are rising. And where apparently they're also taking women working from home as the ones who are working. But where everyone here is concerned, I was told that because the men are earning, they're sitting back, which I think is not at all right, considering we've entered space like, whether it's sports or whether business or whether it's politics, we are playing a fantastic role over there. So thinking and taking that into consideration wherever we are doing fabulously. So I think it should be encouraging for more women to come forward, because I think we think very clearly. We are very clear in what we want, and we are mostly a success in whatever women do.
I want to ask you a quick follow-up. Has television played a role in changing mindsets and, the perception in the general public, in the viewing masses with regard to gender stereotypes?
See, where TV is concerned, it's definitely women all the way. It is. And where films are concerned in our country, the male tends to play, has a higher, well, I don't know, well, let's say, status, positioning in terms of, in every which way. He gets the main roles. There are very few women-oriented films, but television is ruled by women. I mean, that's why they used to call it soap operas. The name came with women would send their children to school and husbands' lunches were made, and then they had the laundry and the soap and they would sit and watch TV. That's why soap operas originated from. So it was related to women, for women, by women, yes. So, but TV does affect your mind set a lot, because you start believing agar wo kar sakte hain, main nahi, agar wo kar rahe wo, then that's what social media is doing. It's changing all our minds. Some good, some bad, some ugly. But yes, it does affect all of us.
You wanted to comment on that?
No, I think what you're saying is absolutely true. And if you see a lot of the television programming today, the lead roles are played by women. They are women who traditionally may not have worked, but all of a sudden have started working. They're people who are shown on TV shows, who are, you know, maybe have grown up kids who are married and have started working. I think this really does change the general perception of women and the relatability that, like you said, rightly, if you can, why can't I?
See, the views, basically, it's, if you see whether it's any of these medium, be it social media, which is today digital, or be it the OTT, or be it films, we make them our role models. We feel that, okay, kapde वैसे पहनने हैं, बोलना वैसे, करना वैसे, लिखना वैसे कर. So therefore, sometimes it works out very much in favor, but sometimes it can be terrible. But yes, we do tend to follow.
Okay, Namita, you wanted to come in on that because, like you said, you spend 20 days every year on Shark Tank.
I think when a lot of founders who come from small villages, a lot of them are women, come and talk about their stories of resilience, of really breaking ceilings, that, again, those stories stick with people and they're changing the narrative. I remember times when, because I was much younger, and if there was a banker, I would ask the question, but they would look at my father and answer the question. I mean, I've been through so many of those meetings. Things are much better now.
Did that really happen?
Oh, many times. And Indra Nui, I was very surprised in a biography, wrote about it, that it happened to her in the US when she was a consultant. So I think
so
it's a
you ask a question, but the person who's responding looks at your...
Yeah, that's happened. That's one of many things that's happened fairly often. I mean, it's okay.
The mic.
I said, don't look shocked, it happens all the time. Yeah.
But anyway, coming back to the point, I think these new breed of women, these young women who are on television, talking about their journeys, are inspiring many others to do the same. So it's great.
Has something like that happened to you as well?
Well, initially, yes, but I think over the years, it's changed. I think in the last 5 years, 4 years, maybe I've not experienced it personally. I did hear of a friend, in fact, 2 days ago. She went for a meeting and the guy had this conversation with her, and finally he looks at her and says, "Aap decision maker ko lekar aayega." So, I mean...
I'm really stunned. Okay, Namita, I want to switch to deal making. And Shark Tank brings out a very nicely produced, very edited, slick production. But I'm sure a lot happens behind the scenes, many hours, much longer pitches. But the question I have for you is, did you regret either taking a decision or missing out on an opportunity during that entire process?
So firstly, it's not scripted. The minute the door opens and the founders walk in, that's the first time that we're seeing them or hearing about the business. And typically a pitch goes on for an hour, 15 minutes, but you see probably 10 to 15 minutes of it. And of course, even if we give a deal, it's not like it goes through because it's followed by due diligence and all of that. You know the basics. But yeah, there have been many that I felt, on the spur of the moment, I probably should have given an offer. But that happens with everything in life, right? You have regrets, you have missed opportunities, and then you learn from it.
Tell us which was the biggest miss.
So, there was that Jugadu Kamlesh in season 1, who had come from a little village, and I'm so numbers, and the math didn't make sense for me. And I said, "Isme to paise nahi banenge." So I didn't invest. And then over the seasons, I've realized that, you can have few investments where you're not making money, where you will probably write it off, but it's just a feel-good thing to be part of somebody's journey who's so passionate, so resilient. And that's also a message that you as a leader about social impact that you need to give to the world.
Which was the worst decision that you ever made?
I'm not going to name the founders because that's not respectful. But there have been founders, usually I have
Okay, but if
I
not
have a
name
strong
the founders,
gut instinct, but it's usually where they're founders. I've trusted them, but then 12 baje se pehle wo uठते नहीं हैं, and they've got some, they're lazy.
The reason I asked you this, and I'm going to go to the panel on that, I want you to tell our audience about where did you go wrong as a leader, as a business.
Mistakes that we made.
Yeah. What went wrong? Was the hunch wrong? Did you get the numbers wrong? What went wrong?
See, a lot of these companies are pre-revenue, so you're taking a punt on the founder, right? Because when it's pre-revenue, you believe in the industry, the sector that they're in, and you feel this is a progressive sector. Secondly, you believe in the founder. So a lot of times, your instinct on the person goes wrong. You feel they have the domain expertise, which they may, but then they end up being extremely lazy and not as driven when it comes to the work ethic, creating teams, creating automation and processes. They don't have that ability to listen, take feedback, and put those systems in place. So that happens.
As a woman in business, what would you add to this in terms of what you got right and what you got wrong, and what are the learnings that you would like to share with people here?
I think for me, the key thing that I've either got very right or gone very wrong is getting the right team. Getting the right team on board, if you have the right people to run things for you, you can do wonders, because you really can't be doing every single thing. And to truly create value, you need a brilliant team to run things for you on a day-to-day basis. And if you can get the right people, I think you've hit a home run.
What's been your biggest miscalculation and your biggest win?
Honestly, I think it's been wonderful. I mean, I'm not saying it, but if we talk about ITA, yes, it's been a journey. But I tell you one thing, it's been so exciting because the industry ke saath we grew. It's like today when we come there, we know every single person who has entered this industry, name. And then when we had started Great Magazine, because they were just characters with you didn't know who they were, we started working on them and started telling people who they were, and they've all grown with them. So I don't know, there's been and definitely our team, Touchwood, has been fabulous. I mean, Team ITA is the best, I feel, because they've been with us for years and years. And we all started together on television. If you look at it, our whole team, we knew nothing about TV. I didn't know anything about events. We knew nothing at that time. So when we started, it was literally from scratch. So today, if you ask me how a set is put up or how a truss or a light, I can tell you all. It's because it's been a learning process. Now we are champs at it. So that's how it's been.
Namita, coming back to you, and let's talk about a bit of the business that you are in. The pharma sector is a very powerful sector in India. We have good exports. And very clearly, this is a sector where technology, business, and the manner in which you sort of go about doing production or sales, I imagine would not be as hostile to women in the workforce than some other sectors, where there is a different kind of process involved. If you were asked to rate pharma and maybe other sectors that you want to talk about in terms of being friendly to women in the workforce, what would you say?
Well, that's a great question, because when it comes to employing women, there are almost two parts to pharma. So the part that is, the brand managers, IT, finance, regulatory, quality, legal, we have a very large number of women. But when you look at, MQ has 11,000 employees and 6,000 are medical representatives. When you look at the medical representatives, we have a very small percent of women, because the job demands that you go and meet a doctor to detail your products at crazy hours. And there's still safety issues when it comes to women going and detailing to doctors in many parts of the country post 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at times, traveling ex-station, outstation the way they need to. So I think on the sales side, we have a very small number of women, and I don't see that changing till a lot of other things
What about
change.
the R&D and the science side?
R&D, yes, of course. So, regulatory, quality, R&D, that whole HO side, yes. There's a HO side and then there's a field side. The field side, we don't have as many women. On the head office side, very large number of women.
I don't know how many of you know that GCCs, Global Capability Centers, which are now responsible in the past few years for some of the highest incremental job addition in India across sectors, and we have global companies who are setting up GCCs. India is now called the GCC capital of the world. the number of women who are employed in GCC is very high, and it actually helps break some of these barriers. In the industry that you are hands-on with, do you think enough has been done for women? Is there scope more to increase women in the workforce?
So honestly, in the creative space, I feel women are leading from the front. We recently did an acquisition with a company called Pocket Aces that manages influencers. That's led by a woman. So it's a very natural progression that in the creative space you have a lot of women who are up front and center. Yes, when you look at just actors, for example, and they form a large part of the industry, there's always a debate on pay parity and things like that. But I think that's a debate that sometimes happens across the board. However, I feel in media per se, if I look at Saregama, there is no discussion. The pay has nothing to do with if you're a woman or a man. It's about your ability, your capability, and what position you're at. It's as simple as that. And a large part of our leadership team is women.
Okay. The entertainment industry has been castigated in the past for offering differential compensation to women, even stars, versus males. Has that changed in your perception and your understanding, or do we still have a distance to cover?
It hasn't changed, though on television, yes, I think there's not much of a difference. OTT, definitely, because they are giving, well, no, okay, let's put it, where they're giving male stars versus female stars, the male definitely get a, let's say on 1 to 100, they get, let's say 100, the girls will get 10, 15, 20 if you're fabulous. In films, again, that gap is very, very huge. So
why is that? Why is that still?
See, I don't know. They feel that men attract. I don't know why. If that was the case, every show would be a hit, every film would be a hit. But I guess they don't, but they'd have to understand that. The people putting the money are so hung up on the fact that this is a male star that they don't put that much of energy into the female star. If you start promoting her like you promote the guys, TV's done it, and they've done a fabulous job of it. I mean, it was like so-and-so, whether it was the Tulsi or whatever. You remember their names even today. Whether the Smritis and the Sakshis and Shweta, till today you remember them all. You don't remember the males over there. But filmon mein aapko khali wo yaad hai. OTT is like, let's say, it's like a balance. It's like a 50-50. So, but again, when they get a male star, he definitely gets paid more. And I don't know when this will stop, but then it's happening.
Is that true of social platforms also, TikTok, YouTube, or any other platform?
उसमें there's no payment. उसमें आप जैसे करोगे आपको मिलेगा. I mean, let's say they call them social media stars, influencers, जो भी है. Whatever I say and I have my following, that's from Janta. You don't get paid for that. You get paid from the platform for how well and how many people watch it.
The reason I asked you is, without taking names, that I get the sense that the algo kind of promotes only a certain kind of social influencer in India, for example.
See, because that's where they get more eyeballs. At the end of the day, like they were talking, it's a matter of how many people are there, the numbers. Here we call eyeballs the numbers. So it's like how many people are there. You get paid according to that many views. So social media is a different way of working. It's got nothing to do with you being commissioned or sponsored or something. If you do well, a sponsor will come on, say, "Arey yaar, yahan to itne log dekh rahe hain, to meri ad dal denge, to mujhe bhi fayda hai." So that's a different thing, totally. So social media aside, films are bought or financed. OTT, again, by the platforms. And television, again, by the channels. So they're all very distinct, different ways.
That's a nice one. You wanted to come in on this?
No, I just wanted to say, I think where social media is concerned, it's a simple numbers game. The engagement that you have translates into what you can charge. So whether you're a male or a female, if you're reaching the right audience, you will get paid a certain amount.
But so honestly, like Saregama, आप लोग तो बहुत पैसा बना रहे होंगे, because they, if we use 1 second of their music hard, you're slapped on. I mean, they're like scary all over. You can't put music from anywhere from as far as 1902, like she said. आप गलती से I have that. So गलती से आप अगर 2 सेकंड डाल दो कहीं भी, मेल आती, मैसेज आती, रेड फ्लैग आता है और पैसे मांगते. ये नहीं कि 10 रुपए 6 lakh, 10 lakh, 20 lakh, 25 lakh. It's the kind of money
Obviously
they
a very
ask for.
painful topic.
So like, she's a scary one to be around.
She's being put on the spot. You want to respond to that?
Yeah, please tell.
I
Why?
think it's very simple. I think we've been scarred from the years. If you remember, when you could illegally download music and do all of that, that completely killed revenue for the entire industry at that point, right? And I think any company that deals in intellectual property will tell you that it's a set standard. No, it's not just one
अच्छा
company or the other.
1902, 1910, 1920, 1930, 1940 आपको भी नहीं पता था आप क्या कर रहे थे वो तो था ना वहाँ पे it's like that you just
But
come
it's part of, I think, company acquisition cost, no? When you acquire the company, it's based on the bank that the company has and the repertoire.
Agreed, but then there should be some balance in the money, I feel. Okay, again, it's like the show we've done and they put up a small little poster which was somewhere available in Bhindi Bazaar. उसके लिए वो प्रोड्यूसर उठ के आ गया भाई मुझे 6 लाख दो क्यों? So this is a little.
Okay, I think this is a
Work
debate.
in the US.
This is a debate to be taken off stage. But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Fantastic women on Women's Day. A round of applause for our panel here. Thanks very much.